Okay, here's the tutorial for the Card Whisperer, and I'd just like to thank all those who congratulated me on my third place win in Miss Meg AT2's contest number 28, the best packet trick. And I would also like to thank Miss Meg AT2 on behalf of many others for the time and money he's put into giving away all his prizes and just for hosting the contest. So thank you, Miss Meg, and let's get on with the tutorial. So what you need is, like in the performance, there's the 10 cards, ace to 10, and you need these specific cards, and I'll list them in the description box. They're the ace of spades, the 2 of clubs, the 3 of diamonds, the 4 of spades, the 5 of hearts, the 6 of diamonds, the 7 of clubs, the 8 of hearts, the 9 of spades, and the 10 of diamonds. So what we do is we get the spectator to mix the cards as much as they like, and when they're done they set the packet on the table, and as the performer I would turn my back towards the spectator and have them just glance at the top card so I can't see the card, and whatever that card is, let's say, okay, it's the ace of spades in this case. They immediately shuffle the card into the packet and I don't see what they're doing, and when they're satisfied it's mixed, I turn back around and I pick up the packet and I explain that I'm going to use this card whispering technique to find their card, but first I have to separate the blacks from the reds. And what I'm actually doing is taking the opportunity to organize the cards in a specific way for the reveal later. Now, I actually at this point of the trick already know what card they've selected, and I'll get into how I find that out later. But for now I'll just show you the method in setting up the cards for the reveal at the end. So what I do is I separate the cards in reds and blacks, or blacks and reds, or whatever, depending on the card selection. So in this case I know it's the ace of spades, so the first card I look for is the matching suit of the card. So being that's the ace of spades, I would look and find the 9 of spades, and I would set that down first for my black pile. Now I would also set down a red card. It could be any red card for the red pile. It doesn't matter about the red cards. We're only setting a certain order for the black cards because our selected card is a black card. Now, there's actually a certain order of doing this that Miss Meg actually suggested, using an acronym that would help us remember the order of placing these cards. And what he suggested is using the acronym S.P.O.C or S.P.O.C, and the S would stand for the suit, which is the first card we place down, representing the card selection suit. So we have spade here, of course. And then the next letter in S.P.O.C or S.P.O.C, we would have P, which would stand for pick, which would represent the selected card, the picked card. So that would be the next card, the ace of spades, just like that. And you want to do this as quick and smooth as possible so it doesn't look like you're organizing the cards. You're just separating the blacks and reds. So you can do any red again, set that there, and then when you go to the black again, the next letter in our acronym is E or O, which stands for even or odd. So you want to find a matching odd card for our odd selection. So I would take the 7 and put that down for to represent our odd selection. And then I could just take out any red card, set it in the red pile. And then we're on our next letter is C, which stands for color. So it can be any of the remaining 2 black cards. And then we set a red card. And then lastly, it doesn't matter what the remaining black card is, that goes on the bottom. And then we've separated our cards, and that's the order you want based on the ace of spades. Now, it's also important that when you pick up the cards that you make sure you set the pile that contains your selected card on top of the packet. That's how you want the cards to rest. And then you're ready for the shuffling part of the trick. Now when you do the little shuffle, you're just going to do a little overhand shuffle, but it's a very deliberate kind of shuffle for this setup. And what it is you're going to actually transfer 6 cards from the top of the pile to the bottom. And the way you're going to transfer them in this overhand shuffle is you're just going to shuffle the cards just like this. You're going to do the top 2 cards first. You're going to go 1 like that, and then holding on to the card in your opposite hand, you're going to pull off the second card just like that. So all you've done is reverse the order of these 2 cards in your hand. and then you immediately stick it to the bottom of the packet. So that's the first 2 cards, just like that. The next 2 cards, you're just going to do one at a time. You just go 1, put it to the bottom, and then 2, put it to the bottom. So that's our first 4 cards, how that's done. And then the last 2 cards is done just like the first 2 cards. You just go 1, hold on to it, and 2, hold on to it, and put it to the bottom. And that's the setup. So that's exactly how you shuffle it. So I'll show you in another packet here because I don't want to mix up the order here. I'll just show you again one more time exactly how that shuffle goes. You just go, for the 6 cards, you do the first 2 cards like this. 1, 2, reverse, stick to the bottom, then separate one for the next 2, and then 1, 2 for the last 2. That's the shuffle. So you just do that as casually and as quickly as possible and make it look like a natural little overhand shuffle. And that's that. So once it's set up, you hold the packet and you out-jog the top card like this, pinch the card like that, you out-jog, you leave the second card where it is towards you, you out-jog the third card like that, you in-jog, out-jog, in-jog, out-jog, in-jog, out, in, just like that. And then you can square up the cards and kind of tidy it up a bit. And then you turn the cards over and you hold the cards so that the packet that's underneath the rest of the cards is facing you, okay? And then you hold the cards between your thumb and fingers just like this, and you have your index finger curled underneath the cards and putting slight pressure on the cards so it keeps them grouped together nicely. And then all you do is you go into the questioning. So the first question you're going to ask while you're putting pressure on the cards just like that, the first question you ask is what the color of the card is. You push on the cards just like this, and keeping pressure to hold the cards together with your index finger underneath, it'll show the black card. Then carefully pick up the cards, swivel them around, again put pressure underneath the cards, square them up if you have to. Then you're going to ask if it's an odd or even card. And our ace should be an odd card, so we should have an odd card pop out. And then again, swivel it around, square them up, and keeping pressure underneath, you push on it again. Oh, sorry, you want to ask what the color of the, or the suit of the card is. Push on the card, it shows our suit, the spades. And then we turn the cards again, and lastly we ask for the reveal what is the selected card, and we should have the ace of spades pop out, and there it is. So that's how that works. Now, to find out what card they've selected, this is where my little gimmick came in, and the contest did allow gimmicks, so I took advantage of it to just add a little more spice to this effect. And what I've done simply is I have marked the cards, and a very subtle marking, which is virtually indetectable. I mean, no one's going to find this marking, especially in this specific trick. I mean, the fact is the spectator is going to be shuffling the cards. When they have the cards, they're going to be too busy shuffling the cards. They're not going to have time to really inspect the cards to look for any markings, and they're not even going to suspect markings anyway. So I can promise you they're just not going to find out. I've played with marked cards with this method of marking, and I've never had anyone call me out on my marked cards. It's foolproof. It works awesome. I think it's a very powerful tool. But anyways, what I've done to mark them, and for this trick, I won't get into how to actually mark a whole deck of cards because it's not necessary. It's only for this trick, all you need to do is mark the values of the cards, because once you know the value of the card, you know which card it is, obviously, because there's only one-of-a-kind values in this 1 to 10 setup. So what you do for marking it is just, if you can see here on the flower, you can pick the right-hand flower or the right-hand flower or the left-hand flower, whatever you prefer, and you can see that little flower right there. I hope you can see that okay. Now what I've done is I've taken a thumbtack, or you can take a pin, and just carefully scratch a line from the middle circle, the middle dot in the flower, up to the 12 o'clock position petal on the flower. Just a little line you can scratch. Now this one, Now I don't know if you can see that okay, but you can see there's a line scratched from the middle dot to the, looks like the 1 o'clock position on the flower. That would represent a 3. So I know that this card is a 3. Now I'll just go around quickly and explain to you the positions. There's the 12 o'clock position would represent 2. The next petal on the flower would represent 3. The 3 o'clock position would represent 4. And then down to what looks like the 5 o'clock position would be 5. And then the 6 o'clock position would represent number 6. And then the next one over would be 7. The next one over, the 9 o'clock position petal would be 8. And then the last petal before the 12 o'clock position would be 9. So that's how you do it. You just scratch lines from the middle dot to the petal indicating the value of the card, all the way from starting from 2 at the 12 o'clock position around all the way to the last 9 o'clock, the 9 position. Now for ace, you just simply don't put any marks there. You just leave it as is, and that will represent ace. For 10, you would simply scratch a line. You can choose vertical or horizontal, but you just scratch a line from the dot, or from one petal through the middle dot to the adjacent petal on the other side. So you could do like a horizontal line or a vertical line to represent 10. So I hope that makes sense. But that's the method I use for marking, and it's very subtle. No one will notice it. And also, I should quickly mention that it's important that you mark not only the flower on, like you have to mark both flowers on each end of the cards, just in case the cards get turned around. You want to be ready to always have the flower at the top of your card marked for you to easily view. So mark both ends. And if you want, maybe you could mark both flowers the same way. If you want to do it like that, it might, you know, give some added symmetry to it that might make it less noticeable. Plus, you would readily see on any of the two flowers what it could be. So it's up to you. However you do it, you just be, think of ideas how you could do it. That's just one way. There's tons of methods, of course. You could look online. Scam School actually has methods of marking decks, which are really quite cool. But this is the way I really like, and it's worked for me for many of my other tricks. So anyways, that's that. So, oh, and I should also mention, I almost forgot, how I actually find out the card. I'll just quickly go over that. What I would do again is I'd have the spectator mix the cards, and when they're done mixing, they set the packet down on the table. Just before I turn around, this is my opportunity to glance the top marking. So in this case, I would see that this would be a 5, and as soon as I know what the card is, I would say to the spectator, okay, I'd like you to peek at the top card, but I'm going to turn my back so I don't look. And they would look, of course, and they'd see that it's a 5. And then they could immediately mix it up. It doesn't matter because I already know what the card is. And then when I turn back around, I then go ahead and do the rest of the trick, just like that. So, okay, well, I hope that was all clear enough for you. This was probably the most challenging tutorial I've ever done, so I hope it worked out okay. So, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.